And a warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining me here for another episode of Conversations with Michael. We're broadcasting live today from our home studio in the beautiful Willamette Valley in the state of Oregon in the United States. And here in Oregon, spring has arrived, but we wanted to honor the passing of winter with today's background. So not really sure where this is exactly, but it sure is beautiful. This show, too, is also being simulcast to our YouTube channel, 3 different Facebook pages, including the Masters Unplugged page, and our own website. So let's all take our collective deep breath here together as we allow all the energies that are here in support of all of us to begin to settle in. And as well, what used to be something that we could only feel in relationship with our non-physical counterparts, let's allow this circle that we create every time we come together and feel into the wonderful support, the very clean level of support that grows every time we do come together in this way between each other. Very good. Very good. You know, the conscious breath, something that I learned as a young man while practicing Kundalini yoga at the ripe age of 17. Back then, I certainly felt the benefits, but let's be honest, I lacked a lot of the maturity to really apply it to my life consciously. And of course, there are still some people in my life today who insist that at the ripe age of 68, I still lack that maturity. So moving on that note, I want to thank my wife and best friend, Koka Filipovich, for her ongoing support and for all that Michael and I have chosen to create together. Without her, I think my body would have burned out years ago. It just is a tremendous support to have somebody else work with you consciously with these energies that are at times pretty intense, but incredibly fulfilling. You know, the conscious breath, it plays right now such an important role for any awakened human being. It allows us to literally feel the quality of support that has almost been forgotten by this human family. Sad as that is. And like most of you that watch this show, we too, Koken and I, and Michael, are fully aware of the ongoing problems and challenges that face humanity as we speak. The conscious breath is, well, it helps to keep us grounded and reminds us of the role that we are playing in this human experience at this time on this planet. We know that humanity is trying its best to find solutions to whatever is the current problem. But for the most part, the presence of consciousness doesn't seem to play much of a part in helping to resolve whatever it is that's out of balance in this now moment. Consciousness, for the most part, continues to be treated like some kind of unknown mystery. So it's been consigned to a variety of spiritual beliefs, which of course just adds to the whole mystery or the confusion, depending on your own perspective. But in our work with so many of you, the presence of consciousness provides a very unique, tangible solution to this collective human experience. One that, for the most part, has unfortunately embraced all the pain and struggle as somehow being normal. As sad as that is. Some would even go so far as to call the struggle as being spiritual. So our recommendation is patience, my friends. a lot of patience. Something had to shift. In the name of freedom, big time. It wasn't enough just to say we're free if we're also relying on some outside authority to grant us our own basic birthright. But true freedom doesn't seem to be something that most human beings are really willing to own. Or they give lip service to it, but to own it? Not so sure. I'm not talking about basic human rights. That would be a given. What we are exploring in relationship with the presence of consciousness is the freedom to exist inside our own unique state of consciousness, no matter what your circumstances might be. And this type of freedom doesn't need any outside authority to give us permission to feel the presence of our own soul. This type of freedom doesn't need to be earned. That's really hard for humanity to grasp that. It's not looking for approval or any kind of acceptance from anyone outside of itself. So inside our own unique state of consciousness, we do have the freedom to engage or not to engage with all the mental noise that runs through our head every single day. We have the freedom to experience something that is quite extraordinary, inner silence. How much of humanity could actually raise their hand and say, wow, what a great day. Most of my day was in complete silence. And how many of us that have awakened to this freedom can make that same claim? We're getting better at it, working at it, a work in progress. We have the freedom to not react to those conditioned human emotions that, for the most part, control most of people's lives every single day. We have the freedom to allow the wisdom that is already there to stop trying from our human perspective to fix a problem that our own consciousness never created. So for those who have chosen to explore such a freedom, well, it's our honor to be of service to all of you. And as we've said before, this is not for the faint of heart. It's not something that you can actually do unconsciously. In fact, such a freedom will ask of you to give your whole life over to reclaiming this type of experience from within. So we gladly offer our support and our guidance, but beyond that, we aren't looking for anyone to join Ancient Wings or the teachings of Michael. We don't spend an ounce of energy trying to recruit anybody. There's no group of followers here. There's no organization connected to these teachings. There is myself, Robert, sharing my relationship with Michael. And then there is my wife, Coca. It became my passion and my joy almost 30 years ago to simply share something that had radically changed my own life. If I didn't feel this passion, I wouldn't be doing this. So this type of freedom allows us to stop feeling separated from what? From our own original self. And that self is neither spiritual or human in its own original state, but it can, if allowed, become a part of our own human experience. Within many spiritual traditions, this type of discovery has been labeled what we are calling it today too, the Grand Awakening, which ends the search outside of us for the meaning or purpose of life. The awakening serves to transcend the limitations of a singular identity, a linear mind. It transcends the limitations of a carbon-based body. It transcends your relationship to joy. And it awakens as well a new sense of freedom from your own human perspective. One that already exists within the soul's own natural state of consciousness. And within that, the human being begins to realize that you are indeed creating your own experience, but from the inside out. But for that to become real, for that to become tangible, physical, you must also be willing to free your mind from feeling responsible for your life. In particular, for your own safety. This is a rare experience. And there are very, very few living examples. Those that have discovered such a freedom in our past have also inspired many of today's religions. And of course, if any of those individuals were granted the freedom to speak today, well, it's not really clear, is it? If their voice, their words, would be embraced in the same way it has been written about them, so be it. So it's a very, very vulnerable state for any human being to explore this freedom from within and to share it with the rest of humanity. To do the deep dive, so to speak, into your own beingness as both the human that you are and the soul that you also are. We call this a human-soul relationship. And all of our programs and services have been designed to serve such a relationship. Call it divine. Call it sacred. But when you own this type of freedom from within, you can also call it you. And that would be new. Such a freedom. To call you sacred. To call you divine. Very good. Very good. Let's take another collective deep breath. And as we always do on Conversations with Michael, let's just take a brief look at some of the most current classes and what you can look forward to before I turn this over to Michael. Starting with our last in-studio class that we called Radiance Reset, which in part introduced the light body to this whole human-soul relationship. So let's take a short look at the preview of that class. Let's take our collective deep breath. As I once again allow Michael to step forward and to share his own unique perspective with all of you. On that note, I want to thank all of you again for participating in the Masters Unplugged program, but more importantly, for participating in this grand reunion we're all experiencing in this profound moment of time here on earth in this human experience. Indeed, it is I, Michael. Thank you, Robert. In the etheric realms, reality can shift at any moment. It's so much easier in the non-physical realms to avoid acknowledging the part we are playing in our own creations. I've known that too in my own experience. So Earth offers what? It offers a very slow motion version of your own non-physical experience. And that's why it can truly feel like a major pain in the butt to be human. The creative process, well, on my side of the veil, it happens rather quickly. But here, it just takes longer, does it not, before it finally manifests into a tangible form. All of you can feel that. You know that this isn't actually natural, but in a way it is necessary. Or we wouldn't have created this experience to begin with. It is here on this incredibly beautiful planet that you have the opportunity to reclaim your own natural state, so as to trust that it's safe, exciting, and fulfilling to also exist inside your own creations. When we talk about the multifaceted nature of you, we know it kind of drives your mind crazy. Because your mind can literally only perceive reality as a singular identity existing in a linear time frame. And all we can really say to your mind is this: you're never going to be able to figure this out. But the good news, the really good news, is you can serve it. You can be of service to it. And when you begin to serve it, consciousness serves you, mind. But the reset, dear ones, doesn't end here, does it? Because going forward with this small group of awakened human beings, there also exists an opportunity of a lifetime, of all your lifetimes combined. It's not something you would enjoy if you're not living your life consciously. And what do we mean by that? If you're not allowing this beautiful exchange to become real between all facets and aspects of yourself to become normal, then you're also denying a return to your natural state, which doesn't separate. So when you ask us, how do we integrate our light body into this human experience? Well, we can help you with that. Indeed, we can. And we will in our next session here today. Indeed. And to help support this experience, we invited in our own unique way a few of you from the iSpirit course and a few that are participating in other classes with other teachers to simply share their radiance with all of you here today. But when you ask, how can we stay on Earth with this light body when those before us couldn't? And my answer to that, dear ones, is, well, that's a work in progress. We spent a lot of energy within a lot of different realms to find a way to allow the divine presence to be present, to serve as a foundation for all of creation. Your work, your choices are in service to a collective creation that, of course, must begin with yourself as a sovereign creator. One that allows each soul the freedom to choose the quality of their own experience without being manipulated by any individual being or another collective group. That is our birthright, dear ones. Even though others have argued with me, that is our birthright. I own that to be thy truth. And you, dear ones, are reclaiming it for yourself in this lifetime as a human being. This would be new. And in so many ways, that is why you're here on earth at this time. Very good. So the video recording of this class is now streaming inside the Masters Unplugged program, and feel free to check that out on our website, including all the benefits by becoming a monthly subscriber. And for those of you who are interested in the light body, feel free to check out the upcoming I Spirit One course. So let's also take a quick look at all of our upcoming events. And very good there too. If you'd like to stay connected to all of our events, you're welcome to sign up to our free monthly newsletter. That's right there at the bottom of our website in that footer part. And last year we created a new service for this show called Creators in Action. So we've had the honor of featuring on the show the work of a number of artists in a video format. Today we'd like to welcome back the latest offering from Roman Dacu. And let's take a look here at Roman's latest creation. Well, that was simply beautiful. Stunning. Feel free to contact Roman if you have any video projects in mind. I'd like to have a little help creating those. And thank you, Roman, for sharing that with us. And for any of you, too, that would like to share with us or submit any video production of your own artwork, whatever that is, but in video format, go ahead and send it to us. And if it's selected, we'd be happy to show it here on the Conversations with Michael show. Very good. So we had a lot to cover today. So let's take another collective deep breath as I allow once again what I eventually realized was me too. Yeah, the joke was on me to share to share his own unique, incredible wisdom. Indeed. Indeed, it is I, Michael. Thank you, Robert. Let's take that deep breath here together. For I am in service to the freedom that was granted to all of life by the Eternal One. And we understand that along the way, many began to play with a variety of ideas, including this whole concept of power and control. Initially, it was such an innocent idea, and then it became very, very seductive, making it more and more difficult to actually maintain a conscious relationship with the Sacred Heart or the Divine Mind. Endless stories have been told to bring this type of separation to light. You've heard so many of them yourself. They're all valid, as there are also countless perspectives on the nature of creation itself. Your own freedom has many stories attached to it. Some were created here while living on this planet. Others you brought with you from other realms, from the stars, so to speak. And through all of that, no matter what story you call true, each of you, those that have awakened to your original self, you've made a very, very bold choice. A choice really that only a creator would imagine. You chose a new story, to create a new story, starting with this lifetime. Simply incredible, my friends. Truly it is. You just got tired of waiting for another being, no matter what you might call them, or their apparent status in all of creation, to grant you your freedom. So within our story, nobody can grant you what was already given long ago. But not everyone believes in such a truth. So be it. So be it. Are we done doing battle with those that believe differently? That didn't stop those of you that we are speaking to here now. You started to use your own imagination in ways that truly set you apart from this human family of yours. And in many ways, it set you apart from the rest of creation. You, like every other human, you felt trapped inside this polarized, dualistic system of reality. You felt like you were living inside a collective story that was solely based in fear, lack of trust, doubt. Ones whose origins actually made its way into the hearts and mind of every human being. A galactic story that speaks of a type of separation between the very heart and mind of creation itself. So what did you do? What are you doing now, residing on this planet? You imagined a new one. Simply incredible, dear ones. And those that believe there is but one reality seem to forget that before duality even existed, it too had to be imagined. And so here you are, now moving into your new story. One that doesn't exclude any part of you, no matter their story. Amazing, truly amazing. Whether that be another lifetime here on this planet or within any other realm or dimension. In your new story, you simply stop pushing against your own lineage. You discovered that by accepting it all, something incredible unfolded. Your acceptance not only set other parts of you free, but it also set your new story free. To be what? To be about you and only you. Your relationship, dear ones, to all those different versions of you, it suddenly shifted big time. And for those of you that are new to these teachings, watching perhaps for the first time, we are acknowledging your natural state as being multifaceted. And not all facets of yourself are integrated. We know this rubs against perhaps your current perspective of a singular self existing within a linear reality, and we're good with that. Truly we are. But in time, perceiving reality through the lens of a singular self will be seen in your near future as being a type of a mental disorder. That's how quickly things will change here, at least for those who want their freedom. Compassion, my friends, is the key here. Truly is. So your new story awakened a new but very ancient relationship. Something that you always knew existed without knowing how you knew. It was more of a gut feeling, an intuitive response that allowed you to go even deeper. And what you discovered, and what Robert has been sharing with all of you, is quite profound, as it helps to resolve all of those underlying doubts, worries, and concerns. You, dear human, are not alone. We don't come back to any of you in a form of a spaceship or the Starship Enterprise. We return as the light of your own consciousness. They, or should we say, we are you too. We just don't have a physical form. And I hope we're not prejudiced because of that. I hope it doesn't change your feelings about us. If not for you being on this planet, dear ones, we, none of us, would be here either. And at the same time, if not for all of us, you wouldn't be here too. So from a place of feeling disconnected from your true essence, humanity has conjured up quite a few stories that would make anyone feel really uncertain about their place in all of creation. We understand that our version or story might sound to some to be but wishful thinking. So be it. That's not our problem. For the rest of you, as few as you are, you have allowed that which you are to be a part of your own day-to-day reality only because you have allowed it. Your new story that now includes us, your non-physical counterparts, it impacts life in ways that are simply inconceivable to your mind. It will literally shatter this underlying illusion that you are alone, somehow existing all by yourself on this small planet at the edge of this universe without any support. Let's take a deep dive into taking a deep breath right there. So we are acknowledging again the deep dive within yourself brought all of you to your knees as this mental-based construct of a reality doesn't accept that who is talking to you right now is even real. You had to really examine a variety of beliefs before you got comfortable exploring a variety of certain possibilities. Even the story that has been connected to being enlightened, that too came up for examination. You not only threw it out, you created your own version. And that's why we love you so. And that's why we could count on you not to get stuck in the collective story of your human family. A new story that has you living with your own soul nature while staying here on earth. Why would you make such a choice when you could leave any time? Because all the changes that happened along the way during your own awakening, they all came about by allowing your own presence, consciousness itself, to also be a part of this physical experience. And if the world at large could really become a more cooperative place for this human family, you realize from your own personal experience it wouldn't happen if you and your non-physical counterparts just left. Without you, dear human, our light, our radiance has very little impact on this physical reality. Now it needs but a few of you to remain here to simply shine your light. And that brings us to this year, does it not? This will be the year that you will be remembered throughout the ages, because this is the year that you put your new story in action, in motion, in part by actively living it, but more and more from simply being in it, being you. No longer the frightened, insecure human feeling cut off from all of existence. You have literally allowed your non-physical counterparts to be here too. Doesn't have to be in the same way that Robert and I have chosen to share it, in your own unique way. And for that choice, I speak for many when I say, thank you. Thank you. Because that does change everything. Not only for you, but for all of us too. Another deep breath. My friends, you will continue to witness a variety of so-called problems that will emerge on a daily basis within the family of humanity. Their response to any of these will require from you a type of detached patience. That's not your story anymore. That's not your movie. Your human family simply isn't conscious as yet of the existence of consciousness. The collective problems of your human family simply cannot be solved by the mind alone. And this will continue to be, as it has been throughout your past, very, very frustrating. The mind needs its own counterpart, consciousness, to help resolve the imbalance, whatever they might be, which eventually will allow any human being to experience the type of freedom all of you have rediscovered in your own unique way. Your presence, your radiance, introduces the presence of consciousness to this planet, unlike anything we've ever witnessed before. As a group of individuals, it's an invitation. It will not force its presence where it's not allowed. It is but an invitation, but it does ensure, if it is chosen, that all of life on this planet indeed now has a future. Thank you, dear ones, for your service to the sacred. The role that you now play is the observer. Be the observer of humanity's movie. It is not your story. Be devoted to your own creation, to the story that you have created. It need not affect any of you what humanity chooses to experience, as long as you're allowing your new support base, your new story, to also serve you. And within that creation, you also discovered a galactic story that now supports your current story, reuniting different parts of your own divine heritage as a sovereign creator of your own experience. This too is new. And it's why we say to you, and will continue to say to you, you are a blessing to this planet. It wasn't required of any of you to be here at this time, but you still came. Because you could see, without consciousness, your human family literally has no other options available to them. Watch what they do, but do not react to what they are creating. It's not your story. It no longer is even your reality. But nonetheless, you've chosen to stay here, as uncomfortable as it is at times, to simply shine your light so that this human family can enjoy the same possibilities and potentially choose the same potentials that all of you have chosen. So that the ones that follow you in your footsteps, your path, have the same opportunity to discover the same freedom that each of you have discovered. And in the name of freedom, all of our blessings, dear one.